His hand was on her throat when she decided to end the lesson. The lab smelled like acetone and nerves, glass beakers reflecting the white hum of fluorescent lights. Cole Jameson, 6'2", all muscle and arrogance, had Jane pinned between the prep table and the supply rack. His voice was low, confident, dripping with teenage entitlement. "You're gonna fix that grade, Mrs. Summers. Or I'll make you." Jane's hand twitched once. Calm, precise. Years of training under a calm surface. He didn't even see it happen. 1 second, his grip was tight. The next, his wrist bent backward, pain detonating through his arm. He gasped, stumbled, and hit the floor hard. The metallic clang of falling equipment echoed like a gunshot. She didn't shout. She didn't flinch. She just stepped back, hit 911 on her phone, and gave her classroom number like she was ordering a textbook. "This is Mrs. Summers. I have an assault in progress." Student restrained. No injuries. Police required. Then she stood there, breathing steady, watching the boy on the floor clutching his wrist. Calm wasn't weakness. Calm was power. I didn't know any of that yet. I was in my workshop sanding the corner of an oak shelf when my phone started buzzing across the workbench. Sawdust danced in the sunlight like static. I wiped my hands on my jeans and glanced down. Pulsing deep high school. The screen kept vibrating, insistent. I answered on instinct. A man's voice, tight, shaky. "Mr. Summers? This is Vice Principal Henderson. There's been an incident in Mrs. Summers' class. She's safe, but you should come down." Incident? My heart started pounding. What kind of incident? I'd rather explain in person. Those words always mean one thing. Something went wrong, and no one wants to say it over the phone. I didn't remember the drive. 10 minutes blurred into sirens in my chest, into white lines stretching endlessly. My mind cycled through catastrophes. Chemical spills, broken glass, maybe a kid fainted from fumes. But under it all, a whisper I refused to name. Someone hurt her. The main office looked the same as it always had, too bright, too clean, pretending nothing bad ever happened in its walls. I followed a security officer to a small nurse's room where Jane sat with a paper cup in her hand. She looked still. Not frightened, not shaking, just controlled, like the air around her had to ask permission to move. "Scott," she said, eyes level, voice calm. "You didn't have to come." The vice principal hovered near the door, sweating. I looked at her neck, faint red marks, finger marks. My jaw tightened. What happened? Jane glanced at Henderson, who looked like he wanted to disappear. "A student became aggressive," she said. "He put his hands on me." The words were flat, clinical, stripped of emotion. Like she was dictating a lab report. Who? Cole Jameson. The name hit like static in my brain. The same Cole whose mother ran our neighborhood like a feudal kingdom. The same Karen Jameson who once fined me for having a non-regulation mailbox. Of course, what did he do? I asked. He followed me into the prep room after class, demanded I change his grade. When I refused, he grabbed me. I used a wrist peel to disengage. Called 911. I stared at her, half in disbelief, half in awe. That was Jane. Years of military police training. She didn't panic, she neutralized. Henderson cleared his throat. "The student claims Mrs. Summers was the aggressor." My laugh came out sharp. "You believe that?" He flinched. "We're required to investigate both sides." Jane put the cup down gently. "He said no one was coming to save me," she murmured. I told him I didn't need saving. Her voice didn't shake, but mine did. I wanted to tear through the halls and find that kid. Jane's hand found mine, grounding me. "We'll handle this the right way," she said softly. "With facts, not fury." That was Jane. Steel under still water. We walked toward the main office to give statements. My pulse was so loud it drowned the hallway noise. And then I saw them. Cole sat slouched in a chair, wrist wrapped in an ice pack like he'd just survived combat. Next to him, perched in a designer suit and a face full of disdain, was his mother. Karen Jameson looked at us like she was inspecting termites. "There she is," she announced, voice slicing the air. The teacher who attacked my son. Principal Thompson stood awkwardly near the corner, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Let's all take a breath. Karen cut him off. A breath? My son was assaulted by a teacher. He could lose his scholarship. Jane didn't even blink. She watched Karen the way she'd watch an unstable compound. Curious, detached, waiting for it to combust. Officer Peters, the school resource officer, stepped forward with his notepad. Mrs. Summers, I need your statement. Jane's delivery was surgical. The student blocked my egress from the prep room, placed his hand on my anterior throat. I applied a standard pressure point release. Minimal contact, no injury intended. Even Peters hesitated, thrown off by her composure. Thank you, ma'am. Karen's voice cracked like thunder. Lies, my son said. She screamed at him about his grade. She's unstable. I stepped forward, my voice dropping into something cold. My wife is the calmest person in any room. Your son's been a problem for months. Ask his teachers. Karen turned to me, eyes narrowing. Oh, you're that husband. The one with the overgrown grass on Willow Creek. I've seen the reports. The threat was sharp and deliberate. She wasn't talking about lawns. She was telling me she had reach. HOA reach. And she'd use it. The nurse entered, clutching a clipboard. Her voice trembled slightly. I've examined both individuals. The student has mild redness consistent with a grip release, missus. Summers has petechial hemorrhaging consistent with sustained pressure from fingers. The room fell dead silent. Karen's lips curled. Those could be from anything, jewelry, allergies. The nurse shook her head. They're shaped like fingertips, Mrs. Jameson. Peters wrote something in his report. We also have the lab camera footage. It's being downloaded now. Karen stood so fast her chair screeched. This is ridiculous. You'll be hearing from my lawyer, she pointed at me, manicured finger trembling. And you get your lawnmower ready. I'll be measuring. Her eyes met mine, full of venom. I make the rules. I break them when I want. Then she turned on her heel, dragging her son out like a general, retreating from a battle she thought she'd already won. The door clicked shut. Jane finally exhaled a slow, deliberate breath. I saw the faint tremor in her hand as she reached for mine. This is what I hate, she said quietly. Not the fight, the politics. Principal Thompson rubbed his temples. Jane, I have to follow protocol. You're on administrative leave with pay until the investigation's over. Jane nodded once. No protest, no emotion, just discipline. But I saw it. That flicker of something beneath the calm betrayal. A teacher who did everything right, punished because she refused to let herself be a victim. We stepped outside into the late afternoon sun. The air smelled like asphalt and pine. Jane tilted her face up, letting the light wash over her bruised neck. For a moment, she looked unbreakable again. He told me no one's coming to save me, she said softly. I looked at her, at the strength under the quiet. Then let's make sure he's wrong. She turned toward the parking lot. No, she said, voice like tempered steel. Let's make sure he never says it to anyone else. As we drove away, the school shrank in the rearview mirror. I knew this wasn't over, not by a long shot. Because the Jamesons didn't lose gracefully. They retaliated, and somewhere behind that perfect suburban smile, Karen was already loading her next weapon, paperwork, gossip, power. We just didn't know yet that the real war had already begun. The first shot in Karen's war didn't come with a lawyer or a phone call. It came with a white envelope tucked under my windshield wiper. Morning sunlight glared off it, neat handwriting in perfect cursive. Polson Deep County Homeowners Association. My name printed underneath like a summons. $50. Violation. Grass height exceeds regulation 3.5 inches in 3 separate areas. 3.5 inches. Not 4, not 5. The precision made it worse. I stared at the lawn, green, healthy, trimmed 3 days ago. A few stray blades, maybe, but this wasn't neglect. This was a message. Jane stepped onto the porch, coffee steaming in her hand. She read the notice over my shoulder and didn't say a word. She just sipped slowly, eyes narrowing. That silence meant more than 1,000 curses. It meant she understood exactly what this was. Not about grass, about control. The next morning, another envelope, $75. Violation, trash receptacles visible from street for more than 4 hours after collection. Pickup time, 10 a.m. Return time, 3 p.m. Apparently, I was supposed to teleport home from work to hide the cans before the afternoon sun saw them. By day 3, the pattern was clear. HOA notices materialized like clockwork. One for faded mulch tone, one for improper hose placement. All printed on heavy, cream cardstock, as if Karen thought thicker paper would make her power more real. I caught sight of her once that week, parked across the street in her glossy black SUV, sipping coffee from a travel mug. She gave me a lazy wave, the kind you give someone you've already defeated. The rage hit me like static, but Jane just said quietly, "Don't give her the reaction she wants." That's what Karen was after. She wanted chaos, anger, noise. She wanted us to lose composure. We didn't. Not yet. The real attack came from the place she ruled best, the internet. A Facebook post on the Polson Deep community page. "Dear neighbors, please remind your families to stay calm around others. Some people have been showing aggressive behavior near our children. No names. Just poison sugar-coated in concern." The comments poured in. "Who? What happened?" Karen replied with winks. "Can't comment. Ongoing issue." Within hours, the story had mutated. Teacher attacks student. Wife of troublemaker couple. Violence in Polson Deep. Jane read the thread once, then closed the laptop. "Don't read that," she said. "It's designed to distract." "It's working," I muttered. "They're calling you unstable." She looked at me, eyes calm but hard. "Do I look unstable to you?" "No." She looked like a storm held in human form, controlled, contained, waiting. But I knew Karen wasn't done. She never stopped when she had an audience. She stopped when she had a victory. The next escalation was physical. A car I didn't recognize, dark sedan, tinted windows, crept down our street just after midnight, headlights off until it reached our driveway. It idled there for a full 30 seconds before backing away. No plates visible. Coincidence? Maybe, except it happened again 2 nights later. Same car, same time. Then the compliance knock. Saturday, 2 p.m. A pounding on our door like the police had a warrant. 2 men in polos with HOA badges, retirees, clipboard warriors. They claimed they were here to confirm color accuracy of exterior trim. Jane opened the door. "You mean my beige paint?" They held up swatches, squinting, measuring, muttering nonsense about undertones. We stood there 20 minutes while they performed their little ritual in full view of the street. Neighbors peeked through blinds. Karen's curtains twitched. It was a spectacle. Public humiliation disguised as procedure. When they left, Jane whispered, "They're branding us." And that's exactly what it was. The HOA's scarlet letter, painted in bureaucracy. By the 5th day, I'd had enough. "Fine," Jane said one morning, setting her mug down with a click that sounded like a trigger. "She wants a war of rules? Then we'll use every one of them." That was the shift. The chemistry teacher was gone. The military officer had clocked in. We started with optics, literally. Home Depot, aisle 9. I bought the most expensive laser-guided tape measure on the shelf. It beeped, projected numbers, and looked absurdly official. That afternoon, we turned our front yard into theater. I mowed while Jane measured every strip before and after I cut it. She called out numbers. I logged them on a clipboard. Neighbors watched. Curtains moved. Karen's SUV idled across the street. When we were done, Jane drafted a formal lawn compliance report with before and after measurements, photos, timestamps, and a notarized statement of compliance. We mailed it certified. Our message was clear. We see you, and we're not playing defense anymore. Next came reconnaissance. I spent 3 nights reading the HOA covenant. 250 pages of fine print written by someone who clearly hated joy. But buried inside were treasures, contradictions, outdated clauses, loopholes. Karen's prized rose bushes, technically prohibited invasive species. Section 12. Paragraph 4b. Her dog flag? Unapproved imagery on flagpoles. Her porch light? Exceeds lumens by 10 watts. Petty? Absolutely. But that's the game she built, so we played it better. At dawn, I walked across the street, heart hammering, and taped laminated copies of the relevant rules directly to her fence, right beside the roses, the flag, and the too bright porch light. No damage, no vandalism, just truth printed, laminated, and undeniable. It felt better than revenge. It felt righteous. Jane took it further. She mapped the neighborhood on paper like a tactical op. Angles of visibility, likely routes, Karen's routine. Control requires information, she said. Let's collect ours. We upgraded the cameras. 4 new 4K motion detecting lenses, one under the eaves, one hidden in a birdhouse, another disguised as a garden gnome, one facing the street. Every inch of our property became a watchtower. I told her it felt excessive. She said, excessive is her weapon. We're just matching it. Soon, Karen's every move the SUV parked too long, the HOA goons loitering became a data point. But it wasn't just about footage. It was about control. We weren't victims anymore. We were collecting evidence. And we had fun with it. Jane started narrating our days into the cameras like a nature documentary. Observe, she'd say, watering plants. A local female hydrates a non-prohibited species within community standards. I joined in. Here we see the male leaving his habitat. Note the perfectly trimmed grass and legally stored receptacles, a compliant specimen. It was absurd. It was defiance disguised as humor, and it drove Karen insane. We knew because her SUV stopped lingering quietly. She started pacing her driveway during our shows, phone to her ear, glaring at us like we'd committed a crime by breathing. Each performance was a reminder her power only worked when we cared about it, and we'd stopped caring. Then one night, I saw it on the camera feed. One of the HOA volunteers, the same man who'd measured our trim, creeping up to our porch at 1 a.m., a small garden store bag in his hand. He sprinkled something over our front lawn, quick, furtive, and left. The next morning, a patch of grass near the steps was dead, yellow, brittle. 2 days later, violation notice. Failure to maintain lawn health. My blood ran cold. They weren't enforcing rules anymore. They were fabricating them. I showed Jane the footage. She stared at the screen, expression flat. Okay, she said quietly. Playtime's over. That was the moment she shifted again. The teacher, the strategist, the soldier, all in one. We're done reacting, she said. We start building. She pulled a notepad across the table and began sketching. It looked less like a garden plan and more like a battle map. Observation, detection, evidence, she murmured. We build our layers. I watched her draw our property in neat boxes. Arrows? Angles? What are we building? I asked. She looked up, eyes sharp, calm, and terrifyingly certain. A trap, she said. One they can't escape from. That night, as I locked up, the street was silent. No cars. No lights. Just the sound of wind against the fence. Somewhere across the cul-de-sac, Karen Jameson sat in her perfect house, believing she still controlled everything. But for the first time since this began, I felt something new, under the anger anticipation, because she thought she'd started a war. She had no idea we were already winning it. Buddy Tyler was the kind of neighbor everyone underestimated until their Wi-Fi went out. A retired engineer, white beard, khaki shorts, and an obsession with gadgets that could probably land a satellite. When I told him what the HOA had been doing, his eyes lit up like it was Christmas morning. She fined me last year because my satellite dish was 2 degrees off true north, he said, shaking his head. You want evidence? I've got a system that logs everything. Motion, plates, timestamps. You need it. It's yours. Within an hour, Buddy had our driveways linked into one network. His cameras covered angles mine couldn't reach, overlapping fields of vision, layered defense. "Think of it like radar," he said, grinning. "If she so much as sneezes near your fence, we'll know the wind direction." For the first time in weeks, I smiled. This was no longer survival. This was strategy. Jane spent that evening at the kitchen table, a single lamp pooling yellow light across a notebook filled with diagrams, arrows, coordinates, calculations. "Observation, detection, evidence," she murmured. "We build it like a defense grid. Every layer covers the next." Her calm scared me more than anger ever could. She reached under the table and pulled out a small black bottle, something from her old MP footlocker. "Ultraviolet thief detection powder," she said, almost gently. "We used it for sting operations, invisible to the eye, impossible to wash off. It glows under black light for days." She held it up like a weapon disguised as dust. "If they come again, they'll mark themselves." That night, under a moon sharp as glass, we went outside wearing gloves. She dusted the front gate latch, the mailbox handle, even the garden gnome that stood watch near the porch. Every potential point of contact became a trap. Under the normal porch light, it looked like nothing. Under UV, it would burn like guilt. Inside, the war room took shape. Jane set up a new hard drive. Every file got labeled with precision. Only a soldier or a scientist could love. Lab cam footage, birdhouse cam, eaves cam, UV photos, HOA fines, FB screenshots, license plate hits, asterisks, asterisks. We synchronized timestamps, backed everything up twice. "Power," Jane said, "comes from noise. Proof comes from silence." For 3 days, nothing happened. No cars, no letters, just stillness. But stillness wasn't peace. Stillness was the inhale before the blow. Every night I checked the feeds before bed. Every creak in the house felt like a prelude. Jane barely slept. She'd sit at the window with a cup of tea, eyes on the street, not afraid, just waiting. Thursday night, 11:07 p.m. The birdhouse camera pinged. Motion detected. I tapped the app. The feed flickered. A figure crept up our driveway tall, hood pulled low, moving with the cocky hesitation of someone who thought he was invisible. Cole. Even through the grainy night vision, I'd know that posture anywhere. He walked straight to the gate, looked around once, put his hand flat on the latch, and pressed down. The gate creaked open. He didn't enter. Just grinned that smirk teenagers wear when they think they've won, and reached into his pocket. Spray paint. Before he could lift the can, the motion floodlight exploded to life, a blinding white sun in the dark. Cole froze, eyes wide, can slipping from his fingers. He bolted, vanishing into the night like a startled animal. Jane leaned over my shoulder, watching the playback in silence. The powder, the hand, every frame perfect. "He's marked," she said. "Got him," I whispered. For the first time, victory didn't feel satisfying. It felt dangerous. 5 minutes later, another alert. Not the gate this time, the eaves camera. A car rolled to a stop in front of our house black sedan, same one from before. The hum of its engine vibrated through the night. It didn't move. Jane's eyes narrowed. "They're not here to talk." 2 figures stepped out, broad shoulders, dark clothes, faces hidden. Not teenagers, not HOA members. My stomach dropped. She sent muscle. One man stayed by the trunk. The other walked forward, flashlight in hand. He swept the beam across the house, slow and deliberate, pausing on each window like he was selecting a target. "Call 911, Jane said. Her voice had no hesitation, no fear, just command. I dialed, my hands slick with sweat. "This is 124 Willow Creek Lane, 2 men outside our home, armed with..." A metallic clunk echoed. The second man pulled something from the trunk, a bat. He tapped it against the mailbox once. The sound rang down the street like a warning bell. Then he swung. The metal shrieked, Not vandalism, declaration. Then came the gun. The man with the flashlight drew a handgun, small, silver, and stupidly casual. He aimed it at the mailbox, not the house, and fired. The shot cracked the night open. The bullet ripped through metal, sparks flying. My heart slammed against my ribs. Jane didn't flinch. She moved. In one motion, she opened the hall closet, pressed her thumb to the biometric safe, and pulled out her Sig Sauer, checked the chamber, safety off, decocked, smooth, practiced. "Stay on the line," she said. "Lights off. Stay low." I crawled to the side window, watching the men on the monitor. The one with the gun was laughing. He'd never faced someone like her. Jane slipped to the side door, using the brick wall for cover. She moved like a shadow, calculated, quiet, lethal. "They're leaving," I whispered. "They think we're scared." She took a deep breath. "Good." The first crack shattered the quiet. Not their gun, hers. The car's front tire exploded, the pop echoing off every house on the block. The second shot followed, precise, deliberate. Another tire down. The sedan slumped like a wounded animal, hissing air. The men froze. The laughter died. Jane held her stance, 2 hands on the grip, feet solid, corner for cover, muzzle clear of glass. Textbook. They scrambled back into the car, engine roaring, tires flapping uselessly. Sparks trailed as they limped away down the street. Jane lowered the gun slowly. "Neutralized," she murmured. I realized I was still holding my breath. Red and blue lights washed over the house minutes later. 3 squad cars. Officers out, weapons drawn. I stepped onto the porch, hands raised. Scott Summers, homeowner. We're the callers. Jane followed, gun holstered, hands visible, calm as ever. The lead detective was older, gray hair, weary eyes that had seen too many bad nights. "Miller," his badge said. "You folks okay?" "We're fine," Jane said. They fired once. I returned fire to disable their vehicle. Miller's eyebrow twitched. "You shot the tires?" "Yes, sir. Concealed carry. Retired major. Military police. All by the book." He studied her, the stance, the holster, the composure, and nodded. "Show me where you stood." We walked him to the corner of the house. Shell casings glinted under the porch light. The mailbox was twisted, bullet hole clean through. Forensics collected everything. The slug embedded in the neighbor's oak tree, the ricochet marks on the street. Every detail matched our story exactly. Then I said the magic words. "It's all on camera." We brought him inside, played the footage across the TV. Cole at the gate, the sedan arriving, the bat, the gunshot. Jane's 2 precise countershots. The sound of the 911 call playing in the background. Miller watched in silence, jaw tightening. When it ended, he exhaled. In 20 years, I've never had a case handed to me this clean. He radioed a bolo for the car, easy enough to find, with 2 missing tires. Then he turned to Jane. "You did good. You kept your head." She gave a small nod, expression unreadable. As officers marked evidence outside, a new car pulled up the principal from the high school, pale and sweating. "Jane, Scott, my God, are you all right?" Before we could answer, my phone buzzed. A new email notification. From District Superintendent. Subject: Notice of disciplinary hearing. The message was a punch to the chest. Due to escalating concerns regarding Mrs. Summers' conduct, suspension without pay pending investigation into violent behavior at her residence, they flipped it. Karen had turned the attack into ammunition. Jane read it once. Her jaw tightened. For the first time since this began, her calm cracked. "They're twisting it," she said, voice shaking with controlled fury. "They sent men with guns to our house, and now they're calling me dangerous." Miller overheard, eyes narrowing. "They're claiming what?" I handed him the phone. He read, then looked at the paused video of the bullet tearing through our mailbox. "Unbelievable. This isn't about rules anymore," I said quietly. "This is about power." Miller nodded slowly. "Then give them rope. Don't reply. Don't post. Let them hang themselves. You've got proof. Let them build lies against it. Jane's breathing slowed. Her eyes sharpened again. We go dark. He nodded. I'll be there at the hearing. Play it smart. The moment he left, the house felt heavier, quieter, but the air had changed. The fear was gone. Only purpose remained. 2 days later, another envelope appeared. Heavy cardstock, bold letters, mandatory HOA meeting, community safety discussion, Karen's final act. The stage she'd built for our execution. Jane read it and smiled a thin, dangerous smile. She thinks she's cornered us, she said. Good! That means she's standing exactly where I want her. The next move was ours. The HOA meeting was scheduled for 7 p.m., but by 6:30, the parking lot was full. Minivans lined the street, porch lights flickered across the cul-de-sac, and the smell of cheap coffee drifted from the community center doors. Everyone showed up, retirees in polos, moms with folded arms, kids dragged along and told to be quiet. Gossip had spread faster than wildfire. Teacher attacked student. Gunfire on Willow Creek. Dangerous couple defying the HOA. The perfect crowd for Karen Jamison's show. She stood at the front like a queen, reclaiming her throne, crisp blazer, clipboard in hand, pearls gleaming under fluorescent light. Her voice carried easily. Good evening, everyone. Before we begin tonight's agenda, I'd like to address the recent disturbances involving one of our residents. Every head turned. Every eye found us, Jane and me, sitting in the third row. Karen's smile didn't reach her eyes. As you all know, Paulson Deep prides itself on being a safe, orderly community. Unfortunately, recent events have threatened that peace. A murmur rippled through the room. Cameras whispered. She clicked a remote. The projector hummed to life, displaying a photo Jane's mugshot from her military ID, cropped without context. This, Karen said, is Mrs. Jane Summers, former military police, recently involved in 2 violent incidents, one at the high school, one right here in our neighborhood. My hands clenched. Jane didn't move. Karen continued, voice sugary. We all appreciate service members, but discipline can slip. We've received multiple reports of aggression and intimidation. Armed residents patrolling with weapons, neighbors frightened for their safety. She paused for effect. As your HOA president, I cannot allow Paulson Deep to become a war zone. Applause. Real applause. The sound scraped at my nerves. Jane leaned forward, whispering. She rehearsed this. Yeah, I muttered. She's about to regret it. Karen gestured to the corner. 2 uniformed officers stood by the exit, silent, watching. Stage props for her theater. Now, Karen said, Mrs. Summers is here tonight. Out of fairness, she may respond. Every gaze locked on us. The room buzzed with expectation they wanted drama, not truth. Jane stood slowly. No anger, just calm precision. Thank you, Mrs. Jamison, she said evenly. I'll respond with evidence. Karen blinked, smile faltering for the first time. Evidence? Jane nodded. It's on a flash drive. May I connect it? The crowd shifted. Curiosity won over gossip. Karen hesitated, then scoffed. By all means. Transparency is key. Jane stepped to the projector. Her movements were deliberate, military. She plugged in the drive, clicked once. The lights dimmed, and the screen came alive. The footage rolled time-stamped, crystal clear. Cole Jamison at our gate, his hand on the latch. The UV glow blooming across his fingers like fire under black light. The black sedan rolling up. The 2 men stepping out. The gunshot. The mailbox exploding. Then Jane's calm voice. 911. Active shooters outside my residence. And her 2 perfect shots, tires bursting, attackers scrambling, the car limping away. Silence. Absolute, frozen silence. Karen's face drained of color. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Jane spoke softly. You wanted transparency. There it is. Someone near the back whispered, That's Cole. Another voice, That's Karen's car. The murmurs built like a rising tide. Karen tried to recover, her voice trembling. This is edited. Manufactured. Before Jane could answer, the back doors opened. Detective Miller walked in, calm, unhurried, a man who didn't need permission to command a room. His badge glinted under the fluorescent lights. "Evening, folks," he said. "Detective Miller, Polson County PD. I'm here to clarify a few things." Karen stiffened. "Detective, this is a private HOA meeting. Public evidence, public record," he interrupted. "The footage Mrs. Summers presented is authentic. It's part of an active investigation into vandalism, harassment, and armed assault. Warrants are being served as we speak." A gasp rolled through the room. He turned toward Jane. "Ma'am, thank you for your cooperation." Then to the crowd. "We have ballistic matches, fingerprints, and UV residue consistent with the powder used on her property. Cole Jameson's prints are confirmed at the scene." Karen's voice cracked. "You can't prove." "Oh, we can," Miller said. And we did. The door opened again. 2 uniformed officers entered, this time with purpose. "Cole Jameson," one said. "You're under arrest for aggravated assault, destruction of property, and criminal harassment." The boy stood slowly, face pale. "Mom?" Karen's hand shot out. "You can't. He's just a kid." Miller's tone was flat. "He's 18, ma'am. Legally an adult, and before you try to interfere, you might want to sit down. We've got your texts." He nodded to the officers. They handed him a folder. Miller flipped it open. "Screenshots, Mrs. Jameson. Messages arranging payment for 2 friends to handle a noise problem at the Summers house. That's solicitation for assault." The room turned electric. Gasps, murmurs, phones recording. Karen's bravado shattered. "Those were jokes." Miller closed the folder. "You can explain that downtown." The officer stepped forward. Karen stumbled back. "You can't arrest me here," she hissed. Miller's gaze didn't waver. "Watch me." The sound of handcuffs clicking was quieter than I expected. Karen's pearls caught the fluorescent light as her hands were pulled behind her back. The crowd was dead silent. Neighbors who had clapped minutes ago now stared, wide-eyed, mouths open. Cole was crying. Karen wasn't. She just stared at Jane, hatred raw and feral. "You think this is over?" she spat. Jane met her gaze. "No, it's finished." The officers led them out past the rows of folding chairs. Cameras flashed. The perfect suburban empire she built crumbled under the weight of her own lies. When the doors shut, the room stayed frozen. Then someone, one of the older residents, stood up and clapped. Once, twice. Then the sound spread, hesitant at first. Then louder. Applause. Real this time. Not for gossip, for truth. Jane sat down beside me, exhaling slowly. "I hate applause," she whispered. "Then think of it as closure," I said. Detective Miller lingered near the exit. "You two did everything right," he said quietly. "Documented, disciplined, and patient. Not many people could have done that." Jane gave a small smile. "Guess the chemistry lessons paid off," he chuckled. "Yeah, you just taught this town a hell of a formula." Outside, the night air felt different, lighter. The sirens were gone. The crowd had dispersed. Only the hum of crickets and the faint glow of porch lights remained. Jane leaned against the car, watching the stars. "You know what the worst part is?" she said softly. "I almost feel sorry for her. She built her life on control. Take that away, and there's nothing left." I looked back at the community center doors, now closed. Quiet. "Power doesn't destroy people," I said. "It shows who they really are." Jane turned to me. The bruises on her neck faded to pale scars. "Then, I guess we're finally free." She wasn't smiling, but her eyes, calm, steady, said everything. We got in the car and drove home. The road was empty, the sky open. For the first time in months, the silence didn't feel like a warning. It felt like peace. Morning came quietly. No sirens, no phones, no shouting. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the faint hiss of the coffee machine. For the first time in weeks, the silence wasn't a warning, it was peace. I stood at the window, mug in hand, watching sunlight spill over the wreckage of what used to be our mailbox. It leaned, half collapsed, riddled with bullet holes, a monument to everything we'd survived. Jane joined me, hair still damp from the shower, robe tied loose. "Feels strange," she said softly, "like the world's waiting for a sound that doesn't come. That's what peace sounds like," I told her, too quiet to trust. She gave a tired smile. "You think she'll actually go to jail? After last night?" I said. "Yeah, she's not talking her way out of this one." By noon, the headlines had hit every local feed. HOA president arrested for conspiracy and harassment. Teacher cleared after security footage reveals attack. The comments section was a battlefield of its own: shock, disbelief, apologies. Some people who'd cheered for Karen last week now called her a disgrace to Polson Deep. I should have felt vindicated. I didn't. Justice doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like an exhale that takes too long to come. Detective Miller stopped by that afternoon, files under his arm. "We've confirmed everything," he said. "Cole's pleading out. 2 counts, assault and trespassing. Probation, anger management, community service." He flipped through the folder, sighed. "Karen's a bigger mess. Conspiracy sticks, harassment sticks, and the false police report adds another count. But she's fighting the solicitation charge." Jane raised an eyebrow. "Even with the texts?" "She says they were taken out of context," Miller said dryly. "Her lawyer's creative, I'll give him that. But the money trail kills her case. Cash withdrawals, same day as the attack, it's all there." He looked at her, expression softening. "For what it's worth, Mrs. Summers, your composure that night, that's what saved you. If you'd fired 1 inch higher, we'd be talking about a homicide, not a hero." Jane nodded slowly. "Measured force," she said. "Always." He smiled faintly. "The world could use more of that." The school called 2 days later. The superintendent's voice was different this time, hesitant, respectful. "Mrs. Summers," he said, "on behalf of the district, we owe you an apology. The board reviewed the footage. You're fully reinstated with back pay and a commendation for restraint under pressure." Jane thanked him politely, hung up, and stared at the phone for a long moment. "You okay?" I asked. She nodded. "Yeah, it's just strange hearing them say it out loud. I knew I was right. But it's different when the world finally catches up." She set the phone down, then added quietly, "I don't want a commendation. I just want my classroom back." And she got it. When she walked into the high school that Monday, the halls went silent. Students whispered, stared. Some smiled. One kid, the quiet one who always sat in the back, saluted her half-jokingly. Jane raised an eyebrow. "Don't." He grinned. "Yes, ma'am." By the end of the week, word had spread. The teacher who stopped an assault and took down the HOA queen, they called her Major Summers. Enrollment in her advanced chemistry class doubled. Respect came not from fear, but from the understanding that calm doesn't mean weak. She told me that night, lying in bed, "I didn't teach them chemistry this week." I asked, "Then what did you teach?" She smiled. "That you can defend yourself without losing yourself." As for Polson Deep, the empire cracked clean down the middle. With Karen gone, the HOA board scrambled to rebuild. Buddy Tyler, the retired engineer with the cameras, was elected interim president by a unanimous vote. His first order of business, cancel all pending fines. His second, host a neighborhood barbecue. It was the first time anyone in this community had shared a meal without whispering about lawn height. Children ran barefoot across the same grass Karen used to measure with rulers. People laughed. Someone played country music too loud, and no one filed a complaint. Freedom, it turned out, didn't need regulations, just decency. A week later, a new mailbox stood at the end of our driveway. Stainless steel, heavy, paid for by the HOA's insurance. Jane ran her fingers over it, tracing the smooth edges. "You realize this is the most symbolic mailbox in America right now? Think we should frame the old one?" I asked. She smirked. "Nah, let it rust. It earned it." We sat on the porch that evening, the sunset painting the street gold. Buddy wandered over with 3 beers. To peace and quiet, he said, handing us each a bottle. To neighbors who share Wi-Fi and camera footage, Jane added. We clinked bottles, laughed. For the first time, laughter didn't feel like rebellion. It felt like home. Later that night, after Buddy left, I watched Jane stare out at the stars. You ever regret fighting back? I asked. She thought about it. No, she said finally. But I regret how easy it was for them to believe her. That's the real problem. People love order more than truth. Karen understood that. She weaponized it. I nodded. And we broke it. She shook her head. No, we just reminded them it's supposed to serve people, not control them. Her words lingered in the night air long after she went inside. A month later, the HOA newsletter arrived, cheerful fonts, pastel colors, community update, moving forward together. Buddy's note on the front page read, is greater than, we've rewritten the bylaws. From now on, Pulse and Deep will be governed by transparency, fairness, and one simple principle. No rule should exist if it makes life smaller. Underneath was a photo of the barbecue kids, laughing, Jane smiling, neighbors waving. Karen's name wasn't mentioned anywhere. It didn't need to be. By spring, life settled into something resembling normal. The cameras stayed less as surveillance, more as reminders. The lawn grew wild once or twice. No one cared. Jane started a new project, Community Chemistry Night. Families came to watch her make foam volcanoes and dry ice clouds. The same parents who once whispered now clapped and laughed. And me? I built furniture again. Wood, not war. But sometimes, when the light hit just right, I'd catch the faint outline of a bullet scar on the old porch post, a mark that would never fully fade. Proof that peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the decision to keep living after it. One evening, months later, I found Jane outside, sitting on the porch steps, head tilted back toward the sky. Everything's quiet again, I said. She nodded. Almost too quiet. I sat beside her. You miss it? The fight? She said, smiling. No, but I do miss knowing I could win one. The porch light buzzed. Fireflies blinked over the lawn. The same street that once felt like a battlefield now felt like ours again. You think people ever really change? I asked. Jane took a long sip of her beer, eyes glinting. People, maybe. Systems, rarely. That's why you keep records, cameras, proof. You keep truth ready for when it's needed. She looked at me then, the faintest smile curving her lips. But until then, we rest. The mailbox gleamed in the twilight. The grass swayed in the breeze. No cars lurking. No envelopes waiting. No fear. Just the sound of crickets, the creak of rocking chairs, and the low murmur of a life finally unchained. We didn't win by outshouting her. We won by outlasting her. And in a world obsessed with noise, silence is the sweetest victory of all.